I am Kavehi, and you're listening to the Sound Words STL podcast.
Hi, I'm Ben Province for SoundWordsSTL.com. In 1990, singer-songwriter and Hawaiian sovereignty activist Israel Kamakawiwo Ole hit number 22 on the U.S. Adult Contemporary chart with a captivating reggae-infused medley of Somewhere Over the Rainbow and What a Wonderful World. This year, the song was selected by the Library of Congress to be preserved in the National Recording Registry. Another song is released. Hawai'i 78 is so dear to my guest today that she covered it for her latest single. Raised in Hawaii and currently based in Kansas, Kavehi is a one-woman band equipped with her voice, guitar, ukulele, and looping station, recreating an entire band on stage. The multi-instrumentalist has received coverage from outlets such as People Magazine, BuzzFeed, Billboard, and Spin, while racking up more than 21 million views on her YouTube channel. Kavehi joins me now here in the St. Louis room at Blueberry Hill, and I hope I did not mispronounce his name too terribly much.
No, it sounded like a celebration, like Ole.
I've been practicing that. So I want to start at the very beginning. You went viral on YouTube with your cover of Michael Jackson's "The Way You Make Me Feel." What kind of turning point was that for you as an artist?
That was actually kind of bizarre because that was a really old video. It was another video that I did that went viral that kind of, when that Nirvana video went viral, everyone just kind of started to look at my back catalog, and that was just one that has always been there. And for some reason, everybody liked it, and Diddy shared it. And so after that, everybody just started, he's like, this is dope. And I'm like, well, cool. Diddy thinks it's dope. I guess it's dope. We'll see. So yeah, it's been pretty wild. I think the dogs are mostly the star, though, of the video.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Everybody loves the dogs in the video. They're just kind of like, whatever, she's doing this again. Feed me.
And the Nirvana one that went viral first, that was Heart-Shaped Box, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you credit YouTube with breaking you as an artist?
I actually credit Vimeo. I put up Heart-Shaped Box on Vimeo, and it became a staff pick. And it wasn't until, before that, I probably had, maybe 1,000 people who followed me on Facebook, and way below that on YouTube. And it wasn't until that song got picked by the staff at Vimeo, and then Esquire picked it up, and then after that, it was just kind of just this bananas. Like, I woke up the next day, and like my email was like not working, and it was kind of bizarre. Like, I was like, what is going on? Yeah, so it was kind of cool and weird and freaky, and I owe everything to that, really, I think.
Yeah, and I love your style because I'm just trying to find a way to describe it, and the best I came up with, and tell me if you like this or not, it's pop how Trent Reznor would do pop.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, definitely. I like to, dip my toe into a little bit of everything.
Sure.
Which is why, I was a 90s baby. I was born in the 80s, but, I really was, my angsty years were in the 90s, so I think a lot of my music selection comes from that era. Mm-hmm. But I love looping. It's hard to categorize what genre you would put it, but I like to just try a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Just like food.
Exactly.
Try a little bit of everything. Yeah. And booze.
Point.
Yeah.
So how did you come to the decision to make music this way, where you're looping, you're playing all the instruments yourself on stage? Is this one-woman band setup?
Oh, well, two things, actually. I used to do just the singer-songwriter, girl with a guitar, kind of like a million other chicks out there. Mm-hmm. And I did a show in New York, and I got killed. I was just like, everyone was leaps and bounds better than I was. And I came back just with my tail between my legs, and I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm terrible. I need to do something else better. I need to be better. I've hit my plateau. And then I saw this guy, John Bryan, in Los Angeles. He had a weekly show at this place called the Largo, and he did looping. It wasn't exactly the way I do it. Like, he used tape, and he kind of had somebody else behind the scenes, like, looping whatever he would yell out, hey, cut that together. But when I saw that, I was like, my mind just like exploded. I'm like, I need to do this. Like, I really want to learn how to do it. So I picked up my first looping pedal and I went into the garage and I like just kind of banged on it for 24/7, like didn't shower, forgot to pee, smelled terrible. And for like months, and my husband comes in and he's like, I got to tell you something, like, you're really terrible at this. And I was like, screw you, I'm not going to be terrible at this. And I don't know, maybe he knew I needed that push, but it was like after that kind of moment, it just clicked and I just kind of took it and ran, really.
And I feel like the setup and the way you do these songs itself is almost somewhat of a performance art itself. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hate being on stage is my like least favorite thing. And doing the looping on stage live, like it takes so much concentration that I kind of forget where I am. I mean, I literally feel like I'm still at home until I look up and I'm like, holy crap, there are people there. Like I have a dress on. I'm not in my sweats. So yeah, like I really love, it's such a creative way. It's always different. I learn, it forces me to learn different aspects of music, think of it differently and learn new instruments. I probably never would have done any of that without looping.
And how do you balance your shows? Do you do how many covers versus how many originals?
It depends. I mean, I try to do it original, heavy, and, throw in a few covers here and there. I mean, you got to give the people what they want, what they're there for. So I definitely, plus I love doing, the covers that I do them for a reason. I really love the songs and the bands and the music. And I try to come at such a left field with the cover, so it's not exactly like the song itself, because in my mind, Bretta Is and Nirvana like killed it, that song, like both of those songs, like Heart Shaped Box and Hawaii 78. I mean, why would you do it exactly the same for you? You're an idiot if you do that, so in my mind I'm like, okay, let's come at it from left field and try to kind of reimagine it into a new thing. And that's why it's easier to do, like, during the sets.
And it's a unique challenge to be able to put those two songs together and have them fit, by the same artist, because the originals are drastically different styles.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think looping is, that kind of ties everything together, because, I use similar sounds, and it kind of just, rounds it out into one big story, I think. Yeah.
One of the covers you mentioned, Hawaii 78, is your latest single. What does that song mean to you?
Well, I grew up listening to Hawaii 78, and to Iz's version of Hawaii 78. It wasn't actually written by Iz.
Right.
It was written by someone else, but I don't think no one's really heard that version of it. It was, his version, Iz's version was just such a staple in, music during that time in Hawaii, and I grew up listening to it, and it's always held like a super fond place in my heart. And the pandemic, like I missed home so much, and I really just needed that connection. And and I was going back home for shows. I mean, I hadn't done a show in Hawaii in the last like 5 years, I would say. So I think going back, at the beginning of this tour and starting it in Hawaii, and I just really wanted to, be Hawaiian for a little bit, remember where I was from. And yeah, I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, and the subject matter in the song was really interesting to me, because I feel like it's a conversation that isn't really had anymore about, this isn't a political podcast, but it almost seemed like, you hear a lot about should Puerto Rico be a state or not be a state.
Yeah.
And, his vision was for Hawaii to be a sovereign nation, and I don't know if that message resonates with you personally, and if that was why you chose to cover that song.
Yeah, Hawaii. I think Hawaii is part of the U.S., but for some reason the history of how Hawaii became a state and how Hawaii was overtaken. I mean, that's kind of, nobody really knows about that unless you're from Hawaii. So it's kind of interesting to see, when people hear that song, they don't realize, and I say in the description, like, if you don't know the history of Hawaii and how it became Hawaii, like a state, you should really look it up. Yeah, I think it's hard because, Hawaiians had like, monarchy, and they have their own language and culture and everything. And so it definitely was, it's something that, I went to Hawaiian immersion school, so I learned Hawaiian was like my first language. So it definitely, it hits home, just wanting Hawaii to be, I don't know. It's hard to say, progress is kind of a funny thing, do you go backwards or do you just kind of imagine something new? And I think there's room for discussion there for sure.
And another artist you mentioned, Nirvana, you did Smells Like Teen Spirit and Heart Shaped Box, and of course Smells Like Teen Spirit was on Nevermind, and that turned 30 just a little while ago, or fairly
Crazy.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of influence did they have on your music?
Well, Hawaii's kind of funny. Music hits Hawaii like, I want to say like a decade late, which is, so we always say it's like Hawaiian time. So when I was listening to, I'm 38. When I was listening to Nirvana, I was in high school and, walking around with my Walkman and like didn't want to talk to anybody and just like listening to all these like amazing bands, and I think, I don't know, it just really felt like they understood me, I feel that's music in general, like that's why people connect to it so much, is it speaks to you, whenever point in your life, that the song comes out, it really resonates. And yeah, that's why I kind of love going back to that era, because I know it like, like it's in my blood, I just know that time and can remember being that mean, grumpy teenager. And I definitely have those moments where I feel like that as an adult, so it's kind of fun to go back there and redo those moments, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And Radiohead's another one that you've covered a lot. What do they mean to you?
They're like one of my top all-time favorite bands. Like I've listened to every record, and yeah, I love everything about them, like musicianship and lyrics and creative. Everything's creative to me. Like it's always different. I think as a musician, like I always want it to be a different. I don't want to be pegged into one genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll come out with a record that's, like Kid A was like totally different from the record before that. Like it's just like I think I love that in musicians, just that are willing to push the envelope and do new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you sprinkle in some new pop songs as well. Is that a stretch for you for your what you listen to? Do you mainly listen to 90s stuff? I know I do. I listen to a lot of 90s stuff. Do you have to kind of push yourself and you're listening to keep up with what's new? Or is that just kind of part of your listening diet anyway?
I do listen to a little bit of everything. I don't know, from Bach to Nelly. Like I like them all. I like it all. But yeah, I think new stuff is definitely, I'm trying to stay. I like to try to stay a little bit current, and it's kind of fun to, do these songs that I haven't heard before, and just kind of for it not to be, so embedded in my brain that it's kind of easy to come at it differently, as opposed to a song that I've grown up with and know a certain way, so that's kind of fun too to do. Yeah, just to stay a little bit current.
Yeah, I know for me, I've been on such like a Breeders and Pixies kick lately, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I totally get that. I discovered Kim Deal during the pandemic, and I'm like, it's like I made a new friend.
Where have you been all my life? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's not just covers. Not Another Lame Fight Song passed 1 million views on YouTube.
That's crazy. I can't believe that. Any video that passed that is more than like one view, which is me. Like I'm always amazed that anybody watches my stuff, really. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, and what did it mean to you to get not just the reaction for your covers, but for your original material?
Well, especially that video, like that was so hard to do. If you haven't seen the video, I'm walking down a street, like duct taped a Boss loop pedal and like a keyboard on my arm, and like I have a, you know, mic coming out of my backpack, and I have a car battery in my backpack, and I'm like walking down the street in heels doing this live. Like, wasn't my idea, obviously. It was my husband's, and he likes to come at me with ideas after I've had a couple of drinks. So everything sounds like the best idea ever. And then he's like, okay, tomorrow. He's like, you ready to do this? I'm like, oh man, why did I say yes for? But it's great that, you know, just that you put work into something and anybody recognizes it. Like it, you know, it means the world, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you for having me. I
Wow,
appreciate it.
My pleasure. I've been looking forward to this all day, actually.
Cool. Oh, nice.
Kavehi's latest single, Hawaii 78, is available now on streaming platforms. For more information, including future tour dates, visit kavehi.com and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For SoundWordsSTL.com, I'm Ben Province. Thank you for listening.